It was glorious. I have censored it for the honor of whomever is reading this on the show.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dyster, and I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Danae Hughes.
On Zillow, looking for a new home. Just kidding.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. You on Zillow, huh?
Yeah, I went to this website because we were having a conversation about property value, and so I just popped over, and now it's a sickness. I can look into people's houses legally, and so I am. It's like, oh, that's cute. Oh, that's cute. Oh, I like that. Oh, is that what the inside of that house looks like? I've always wondered. I'm such a peeper.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, it really is the SNL commercial that they recently did with the Zillow, where when you're in your late 30s, it's no longer about sex. It's about surfing Zillow. And that's where you get all your interest.
It's crazy. I'm actually looking at a house right now that has a panel in the middle of the living room that's clearly for like plugging things in to the middle of the floor.
Nice.
And that is directly related to a sin we're going to talk about
Today?
later. Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
I don't know.
Or is that
it wasn't my sin. I remember you talking about it, but I didn't know if it was for this week's show.
maybe it's not this week because we're not doing a WandaVision this week. Okay, I'll have to save this for next week. Well, no, I'll just say it. There's something I was trying to sin on a WandaVision where I saw like an outlet in the middle of the floor. And I was like, that's dumb. And Aaron said, no, they used to do that a lot. And I'm like, I've never seen that. And here I'm looking through Zillow randomly, and there's a power outlet in the middle of these people's living room.
I wish I had stuff like that, man.
Really?
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that was something that started popping up about that time where because people wanted like lamps and stuff in the middle of the floor, and so you'd put like an end table or something over the outlet, and then it just plug right down into the floor.
That would be cool for phones, like if you're sitting in a chair,
right?
You know,
Chargers, that kind of stuff. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well,
I think that'd be great.
If we do the thing that Aaron said, we're all just going to be constantly power charging from everywhere.
That's right. Wireless electricity.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. No.
I look forward to it so much, just as we continue to age, and it's just like, I don't trust this technology. You can't send electricity through my home without wires.
Is that what we're going to sound like?
That's what I plan on sounding like when I'm older.
That's his imitation of me, I guess. Well, shoot, I lost my train of thought. It doesn't matter.
It's okay. I'm pretty sure you just wanted us to start the show and no longer talk about anything charging.
No. I did have something to say about all that, but I don't remember what it was now. But it doesn't matter.
Well, hey, if we know you, you're going to think of it right in the middle, and you're just going to say it.
Just blurt it out.
I'm just going to be like bananas.
Mm-hmm. BANANAS. All right. Well, with that in mind, we'll go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
I've got a secret.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos for the week, the process of sending them, all that kind of fun stuff. Jonathan is already so stressed about this that he's squeezing his stress ball.
Man, no.
Do you have a stress ball?
Yeah, my daughter gets these. They're called fidget toys.
Right.
You get like a box of them off Amazon for like $20, and I think I play with them more than she does. So
yeah, I need some of those for sure.
It's like Rubik's cubes and like squeeze balls, and like this is like a gel thing, and like there's like pads with buttons you press, and yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I think that would be a really cool gift. I probably need to do that. My husband, when he's nervous or just has whatever nervous energy, he's constantly biting his nails, and so he switched over to a stress ball.
I do that too. It's cool.
And Iris is doing the same thing. She chews her fingernails, and then she also sometimes will be like, "Can I have a stress ball, please?" So
I use them a lot while I'm writing. Yeah.
Nice.
Aaron, you have that too, where you constantly kind of want to be moving your hands around.
Yeah, I'm always fidgeting. I have to have something in my hands to be messing around with.
But my version of fidgeting is looking at other things while I'm supposed to be focusing on the show.
That's not fidgeting. It's just distraction.
It's mental fidgeting.
Okay, we call that something different. There's a different word for it.
Okay, sure.
It's called distractibility, but
okay.
it's okay. Let's get into commercial sins. Cheetos. It wasn't me. This is the commercial from this Super Bowl that just happened.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a very new commercial.
Very quick turnaround on that. Chris wrote this script. This is an Atkinson script. Yeah. What about this one, guys? We eat Cheetos?
I do eat Cheetos.
I do as well.
I hate that they're so messy because that sometimes gets on my nerves. So I just have a napkin at the ready.
Yeah.
But
Eat them with chopsticks. That's what we learned.
We've already had this
That's
conversation.
right. Eat them with chopsticks.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
I still haven't tried that. I need to get some chopsticks. But I know I love Cheetos. They go with most sandwiches.
Like inside the sandwich or as a side?
Although now I want to try that.
It works.
I love crunch in my sandwiches.
It works.
I do put Ruffles, like Ruffles and Lay's, like plain. I put those like in my ham and cheese sandwiches and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I'm out of cheese, I'll just use Doritos.
Never done Doritos in a sandwich, but I bet that's tasty.
I have a question about Super Bowl commercials. Do you guys still do that? That used to be the biggest thing. Is like, I don't watch the game. I just go for the commercials. And I just
I watch the game, so I watch the commercials.
Right. I just stopped. It started to be this thing where like the good ones were always available online anyway. So if I would hear like, oh, this was a hilarious commercial, I could go online and watch it.
Yeah, you asked us. You said, hey guys, is there any commercials I need to look up? Because we apparently did your research for you.
That's I'll use you for whatever I can.
But no, I watch the game live. Because I'm not weird like Aaron. And so therefore I see the commercials. I don't watch all of them, but if I'm sitting in front of the TV, I'll be like, oh, that's interesting. The Dr. Squatch, is it Dr. Squatch? What were
you had mentioned, I haven't gotten a chance to go look at them yet.
Yeah, those were my favorite, but apparently those were really popular like online or something, and I'd never heard of it before, and I just saw the Super Bowl commercial. I did not particularly like this one.
Yeah, this one was a little bit weird. Danae, do you watch any of the Super Bowl festivities this year?
No.
Okay, that's just what I thought.
Well, I mean, that's not that weird. Your husband watches it, so.
Yeah, no. He did watch it this year.
Yeah, because he was tweeting about it.
Yeah, Iris and I were hanging out playing with Play-Doh and, making important memories. I'm kidding. It's a joke. There's important memories around sports, and I recognize that.
It wasn't a good game unless you were my wife's family and rooting for Tampa.
There you go.
Yeah, I remember.
I was rooting for Tampa, but it still wasn't a good game. Like I would have preferred a better game.
Growing up, we just were not a sports family, so we were definitely more of the commercial family. My mom, in particular, loves commercials. She is the person who literally will call me and say that she saw the funniest commercial. Mm-hmm. She will describe the commercial and not know what the commercial was about. Like what the company was for. Yeah. She'll like tell me the story of it. And so the commercials for anything is what she loved. So yeah, I mean, I remember that being a big deal. Those were always the best parts of football for me personally, was the halftime show and the commercials. Yeah. But that was growing up, and I haven't watched, since the internet really, and just being able to watch it on demand or watch a commercial later whenever you want to. I have not. That's not been a drive for me for a long time.
Well, what did you guys...
I basically see them during sports.
Yeah.
Events.
What did you guys think about this one?
Well, do you want me to read what Chris had to say?
Sure, yeah.
He said, we wanted to do basically an InstaSyn commercial, and the Cheetos ad was one of the first 2021 Super Bowl ads to be available on YouTube to watch on repeat for the Sin script. It stars a real-life couple, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, in that classic commercial trope. A spouse/lover/best friend has been taking their personal stash of insert awesome product here, and apparently don't live in a world where they can both enjoy said product. There's only one bag of Cheetos in the world, and it's Ashton's, and it's a violation for Mila to eat them. This uses the parody of Shaggy's 90s hit Wasn't Me, complete with Shaggy in the commercial giving it his blessing. He's just there at Mila and Ashton's house, which led to a couple of sins about Shaggy maybe being a figment of Mila's imagination, and that he was secretly living in their basement. My reference to Parasite is perhaps my favorite thing I wrote in this script. It's a simple sin, but I do love referencing Ashton Kutcher's awful Pop Chips commercial from 2012, where he dressed up and painted his face as an Indian man and talked in a stereotypical accent.
I do not remember this at all.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I don't either. How does he remember all this stuff?
He's got that brain. He's got that memberberry brain.
Well, and if I had seen Ashton Kutcher dress up as an Indian, I'm sure I would remember it. I'm saying I don't think I've ever seen it. So
yeah.
I did not watch this commercial outside of the Sins video, and it's targeted right to those of us who know the song and watch the 70s show and are, Mila
listen to Shaggy
and Mila and Ashton fans. This is a target to me, and I was like, this is fun.
Right. It really does depend on that, right? Like it's marketing that depends on, I just mentioned memberberry, like memberberry gumbo, it's like all these things that you remember and have nostalgia for. It doesn't matter if any of it makes sense. It's just like, here's a bunch of stuff that you have positive feelings for. Let's put it all in a gumbo and see how it works.
Do you guys do that in your household? The "it wasn't me" thing? My wife and I do that all the time. Like if we ask a question and then it wasn't something I did, I'll be like, "It wasn't me."
That's
we
funny.
do that.
No, I've literally never done that.
Me either. That's interesting.
It's just a song we both like. So.
That's amazing.
Maybe we're the only ones.
No, there's no way you're the only ones. It is fun. This one's a fun one, but I love the commercial Sins for this reason. Commercials are just really interesting. They evoke such strange, quick emotions to try to tie some kind of an emotion to a brand. Fascinating.
Also,
in that
can we
way.
talk about how Shaggy looks like he's younger than, or just the same age as Ashton Kutcher?
Right?
And he's got to be like what, in his 60s?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
He's been around for a minute, so I would guess at least 50s. But yeah.
What about the
looking good, sir?
The Sins themselves, Jonathan? Why don't you kick us off? What are some of your favorite Sins from this video?
Yeah, I wrote a couple down because, like I said, I don't want to take any away from anybody. But I like. Does Mila see Shaggy and Ashton doesn't? Is a question I didn't think I'd be asking in 2021.
Yeah.
And then I also liked when the thing about Mila just decided, I'm just going to straight up gaslight this motherfucker.
I had that one written down as well.
Also, who does eat a Cheeto with 4 fingers? I do want to know that.
This is a great question. It's a legit question.
It is a legit question. One of those that as soon as it came up on the video, I imagined myself eating a Cheetos and I just kind of gripped it. Like, yeah, I don't do that.
No, you try to keep as little of it on your fingers as possible.
But then at the
Absolutely.
same time, directly after that one, I just wished that I was holding a Cheetos.
When you're eating Cheetos by hand, you have to identify your Cheeto hand and do nothing else with that hand, and don't eat Cheetos with your other hand.
It's the same as eating wings.
It's the law. You identify a Cheeto hand and you don't divert. Like you
don't divert from the wing hand, right?
Yes,
it's the
exactly.
Same thing.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's like
Shaggy's 52. By
it's
the way.
like in the old days, you wiped with your left hand and you shook with your right hand. That's why that was a thing.
Oh,
that's right.
You're supposed to do that different? I'm kidding.
Well, now we have what's called soap and hygiene
toilet
and all those kind of things. But
15-ply toilet paper.
Right. Yes, exactly.
I can't remember what Jason Lee calls it in Mallrats when he. Never mind. I'm not even going to go there. It's gross.
I also had listed in what world would Mila Kunis ever have to rate a bag of Cheetos designated for Ashton Kutcher's use only, which we've already talked about just a little bit. But yeah, you mentioned all my others. Jonathan, what did you have, Danae?
I loved the Cheeto prints with the ending of the pinky needs to stay out of it. I thought that was
That's right.
a wonderful thing to point
like
out. And how
drinking
everything
tea.
was white, which is just a brilliant part of Cheetos commercial. I honestly expected there to be far more prints everywhere. I thought it was a really clever commercial. I really liked that one. So
Yeah.
Anyway.
Let's move on to TV Sins. We will take a break from WandaVision this week. We'll have some more WandaVision next week, but we're going to start with South Park. Make Love, Not Warcraft. This was a Dicer Hughes script. Danae and I writing on this one. Danae, being the World of Warcraft expert on the team, had to get her on this one.
Is that true?
Yeah, I played World of Warcraft. I had my own guild for years. Yeah.
We talked about this. I remember now.
Apparently,
you met your husband on World of Warcraft. You got married.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, we met in a raid.
Iris was conceived during the batch of World of Warcraft. Yes, all that.
Yep.
Yeah. This is apparently one of the most popular and loved South Park episodes, and so we are doing it. I take it you didn't like it, Jonathan? Is that what that means?
I did. I watched the video when I had to review it. I have not watched it since because there was
it's
a lot
triggering
of,
for you.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pimples popping, and there was a lot of shit in bedpans.
Literal shit.
Yeah.
So I did not rewatch for the review. I'm sorry. In fact, Aaron even said, "Hey, can you take another look at this and make sure it's good to go?" I was like, "I cannot." So
I will not. I will not do that.
But that was my favorite sin, though. Just Aaron just going, "Why?" Or no, "Wow."
Yeah.
Like, "Wow."
Yeah, specifically WoW, World of Warcraft, WOW. Yeah, it was definitely when I watched, and I'm not like a South Park guy. I've seen a couple episodes. I think they're funny. I think Trey and Matt are if not geniuses, right on the edge of just being geniuses. Like they're just really smart with what they do. But I've just never got into the show, and it's a lot to tackle.
I haven't either.
But man, I watched this episode and got to that part, and I was just like, I didn't even think you could do this. That's just you're showing a child have diarrhea. It was just like it blew my mind. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Definitely. If they weren't, if I
so.
didn't,
that felt like a reaction to the scene itself.
Yeah,
That sin.
if I didn't think Trey and Matt were geniuses before, I know they are now. It was just that kind of incredible work from them. So
No, and this episode was kind of funny. I mean, out of I've seen like maybe 15 episodes probably over the years, and this wasn't one of the ones I would put as one of the better ones. But
Yeah.
I guess I get why people think it's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know that culture that well either. I don't know the Warcraft culture and stuff like that. So I'm sure it's poking fun at that in really interesting ways, but I just don't get it. You know,
I think it would liken it to if it was oh my god, I cannot think of that really, really popular video game right now where people parachute in and build stuff.
Minecraft?
Nope. You parachute in
SimCity.
and you're kind of like you're in survival mode. I think you can shoot the other people and you can build things and what is the name of that video game?
Are you talking about Fortnite?
Yeah, Fortnite.
Okay.
Oh,
I feel like
Because it's now
Never played.
Roblox. Roblox is the big one now, but yeah,
That's what my daughter plays.
Yeah, Roblox is the.
Well, I thought Roblox was like where you can enter into a whole bunch of different chat rooms scenarios.
You can. And there's a bunch of different games you can play, and you
Okay, so
like my
Roblox
daughter
is-
has one where she's building a house.
Yeah. So Roblox is like multiple things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to spend $20 every now and then if you want to do something fun.
Of course. Of course you do.
I have a lot of $19.99 charges on my credit card.
I mean, that's true for World of Warcraft as well.
I'm sure.
I make that comparison because, you know, in World of Warcraft, you can dance with people. You have this MMORPG thing going on, which was, of course, really exciting at the time. And there was just a lot of, internet nerds. And so it's them making fun of this entire nerddom and the kids getting super involved. And I think if you were watching this episode at the height of World of Warcraft, it would be even funnier. Now it's like, oh yeah, okay, you're making fun of the old guy, you know, playing World of Warcraft, just sitting, you know, idly at his computer. I've seen that joke so many times now, but I think that they were probably that first line of comedy creators making fun of the content.
Right.
But I missed it when it came out. I also, like Jonathan, have only seen a handful of episodes. I wasn't a big South Park. I didn't really enjoy South Park too much when it came out, and I wasn't really incentivized to watch it, but it was really popular and people talked about it a lot. I did see the movie. Can't get that time back. And I still have...
I do like the movie.
Those fucking songs are still stuck in my head
I
because they're
love those songs.
so...
Good.
They're so clingy. They just cling in there. And they are...
That's why they're good.
And they're brilliant. They really are brilliant. But they constantly push the boundaries of comedy, including the sin that we should no longer talk about because it is triggering for Jonathan, and let's honor that.
And I
move
just
on.
realized-
Oh, no, it's fine. I'm not watching
I
it.
just
so I don't
realized, Jonathan, it is my entirety of my keeping tabs is going to be triggering to you. So
What?
No worries.
apologies.
How did you need to
Earmuffs.
look up shit?
Listen,
As long as I
we'll
don't have
get
to
there.
watch it, I don't care.
We'll
Did
get
you
there.
really,
I know, we're
Aaron,
good.
though?
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Oh my
We're
God.
good. We're good. All
Oh
well.
my God.
Jonathan, what are some of your sins you wanted to point out from this one?
Oh, I didn't rewatch it, so all I can tell you is I did remember it being very funny, but
All I can tell you is
And-
that I watched it. You're pulling to me. Respect.
I should have written my stuff down when I did the edit, when I reviewed the edit, but I forgot. So,
Danae, what about you?
I wrote down That's Magist. I thought that was brilliant. I loved so many of your sins, actually, Aaron.
Oh yeah, I really like that one. That's Magist. I like that one. That was.
Did you like the one where it was showing them killing boars and the sin was boring montages?
Yes.
Yep.
Did that really happen?
Yes, that really happened.
Okay, I really like that one. No, I laughed really hard at the video. I just don't remember it because it's been like a month and a half.
It has
since
been a while.
watched it.
Yeah, we held this one for a little bit.
And then of course, just being able to point out issues of how the game actually works. I thought Aaron did a great job of doing research about that. And then I got to point out a couple too that I just instinctively knew. The entire premise of this is that they have to get to this character who's killing everyone else. And it's the premise of this episode is so freaking dumb because first of all, in this game, you just respawn. So if you die, you just come back to life at a graveyard and run back into the game. So there's no real stakes. It's not like a true character death or something.
Right.
So there's that. And the second thing is, which they kind of explain away this one, is that this person that's killing all these other characters is somehow hacked into being able to do that, where if you play the game, you can't kill other people's characters unless you're in a specific mode. So anyway, I liked being able to just, unless they have the sword, then your son's character is going to die. And then it's just like, except he's going to respawn. So why drama?
Well, the other thing you kept pointing out that I really liked was how just the impetus for them having to go find him was so ridiculous. They had computers all around them at WoW headquarters.
Yeah,
like there's so many other ways they could have done this so much easier. Yeah, I thought all that stuff was really good too.
Yeah, we have to put the sword into a USB, drive all the way to the city to give it to the kids that are playing the game, rather than plug this USB into the computer 6 feet away from me.
And we get that that's the point. We get it's the point that it's ridiculous. It is a sin still. Like it's just, it's very forced to have to do that kind of stuff. I also enjoyed screaming my moons were meant to be over my hammies. I enjoyed that sin quite a bit. Talking about my cousin Donnie, there was some conjecture in the Discord that Donnie was a pseudonym for Danae because you have played World of Warcraft. That is actually not true. I hate to let people down, but I actually do have a cousin named Donnie. It was just a name I pulled out of the air.
So weird. Yeah, we called Danae Donnie. She loves it.
Probably wouldn't be the first time.
Nope.
Like a telemarketer or something has called you something.
It's mostly I get Denny.
Denny, that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, Denny's. I mentioned Denny's and Donnie's, but
moons
neither
over
had
my
I know.
hammy.
Yeah.
Where's my moons over my hammy, Denny?
That's right, Denny.
Denny.
Is that half a donut on his desk? Have you ever tried to set half a donut down after taking a bite?
I do like sins like that because I had a friend that would eat half a cookie.
Well, we both have someone right here who ate half a jelly bean once and set the rest down for later. So,
but my wife thinks it's weird. I stick a whole Oreo in my mouth, but whatever.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's just efficient.
I was gonna say I don't know any other way to eat Oreos except one bite at a time. Which is a full Oreo. And then I mentioned the other stuff that I liked that we had talked about with you mentioning the different things. So
it is fun to sin a classic. That was a lot of fun.
All right, let's move on to another Rick and Morty. M. Night Shaym-Aliens is the name of this one. This was a Hughes Watkins script, and Jonathan writing on this one. We're ticking off those first season Rick and Mortys right now, getting through them.
This is a really funny one too. I love David Cross as the as the alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because David Cross has one of those voices that I immediately recognize, but it takes me way too long to figure out who it actually is.
Right. Recognition is different than placement.
And I get him and Patton Oswalt confused. They do not sound alike, but they're both very funny and they voice a lot of cartoons. So when I hear a voice that I'm familiar with, I have to be like, wait, is that Cross or Oswald? Which one is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
The first time I heard David Cross, or that I was introduced to David Cross, and I'm just gonna forget his name.
Bob Odenkirk.
Yes, was from Mr. Show.
Yeah. One of the greats.
Yeah, and I remember I was working at this pizza joint, and some of the cool guys that worked there were all talking about Mr. Show, And so when we would hang out, one guy would always bring over the disc to watch. And because, we didn't stream stuff then. And yeah, it was hilarious and fun. And so I really enjoyed seeing both of them in other things because I just really enjoyed the content that they created. And so I think I actually did a Mr. Show outtake on this one.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Which one?
It's the one where it's his voice at the end talking about the supermarket.
Oh, yeah. That was from Mr. Show. God, I forgot about that. Yeah. Awesome.
I thought this was great. I had many sins down because for some reason the aliens are unable to simply listen to the conversation. They must look and listen.
Yeah,
that whole
was
idea
hilarious.
that all of a sudden they wouldn't be paying attention because people were naked.
Yeah, the premise of this episode is really interesting because you've got this, like, essentially Rick is figuring out that he's inside of a simulation. And then as the show develops, it's just these different levels of trying to figure out, does Rick know that he's inside a simulation multiple times or not? And is he going to outsmart these aliens? And I think this is maybe one of the ones I've enjoyed the most, just watching it in general. I had a really good time with this one.
Nice.
I mean, I in general enjoy Rick and Morty, but for whatever reason, this one I really liked, except for the child nudity stuff. That was odd.
I find these just when we go back and send them, I get more out of them just
Yeah.
because we're paying more attention to them. And it's crazy like how much is interwoven.
Yeah, there's a lot of
into-
detail. A lot of detail there. Trimming your nose hair while driving. Anytime we can do a while driving sin, I'm all about it. Making out with dead skin cells excreted from a scalp. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I think I just had written making out with hair. And then Danae's like, how about we do this? I was like, that sounds good.
Nice. Well, you looked at your grandson's simulated genitalia. Was just a great call as well.
A lot of questionable things that Rick had knowledge of in this episode.
Like the location of the showers was another one I had written down. All that stuff was well observed. What about you, Jonathan?
You did some of them. Why is Rick digging in this rat since it's a simulation? I thought that was really a good observation. Celebrating math. I thought was very funny. And then just the Dave Ramsey thing was interesting because like maybe the night before this dropped, Jeremy happened to tweet something about how he didn't like Dave Ramsey. Had nothing to do with this, but
Right.
it was just, I was just reminded of that when I was like, oh, this dropped like the day later, the day before that.
Yeah,
so.
Dave Ramsey had a Twitter moment a couple days ago where he said something about we don't have to go into like thoughts or details or anything. I'll just tell you what he said. He basically said, if the stimulus check is going to be a big deal for you, you've got deeper problems.
Yes.
And that is just, if nothing else, is an insensitive thing to say when you're a multimillionaire.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
he is not afraid to be insensitive.
No.
That's true.
He's one of those people where you're like embarrassed by the people that are in your area.
Yeah, because he's in Nashville.
He's Brentwood. Yeah, he's or he used to be in Brentwood. I don't know where he is now, but yeah, he's out of Nashville. But he's got a nationally syndicated show where people call in and give their sob stories, and then he tells them.
But you're right; it is
what
weird.
they should do.
It is weird to have that
weird timing.
Dave Ramsey call out, in a video that was written like months ago.
Yeah, and it had nothing to do with that.
No.
It had to do with the
No.
fact that every time I hear Baker Street, which is a beautiful song, I just always think about Dave Ramsey because that's the song he uses for his show,
Yep.
and it irritates the crap out of me.
Yep.
Because that. By the way, I love the end of the show too, where Rick just sits back and starts doing that song. That was God, so funny.
Yep.
Danae, what about you?
I really enjoyed your delivery of the I broke my brain. So shout out to you for that. That was
Thanks.
really fun. Writing these can get a little bit daunting sometimes because in that particular sin, trying to convey that we're sinning simulations inside of simulations and zooming into things, and you're really trying to explain it in a way that makes clear sense concisely. While also having some humor, and just your delivery of the grunting headache noise bleed moment, and then I broke my brain was great. It was great.
Thanks. I'm really feeling like, you remember early on when we were doing this show, I think we talked about how the editors at one point have been like, yeah, give us challenges. Like, you know, like they like it when we do something interesting that they kind of challenge. I feel the same way as a narrator. I like the sins where it's like, yeah, do a funny thing. Like, you know, do something different here or whatever. Like challenges are fun.
I like how Creasy was the one that said that when he guested on this show. And then he went away from our account.
That's right.
So he basically screwed.
That's right. Too many challenges. Too many challenges.
He's like, yeah, challenge us. Give us something to do.
And
you
then
know what,
you
guys?
walked away.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to go do something else.
Yeah. See you later. It's been great. And I also really enjoyed being able to send the English stuff where watching this episode, I was seeing English and I was seeing Alien. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if there's an inconsistent sin here somewhere to kind of go through. But, you know, they're in a simulation and they're trying to trick Rick. And so I'm just going to I think that can be explained away, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the very, very end, when there is no simulation any longer, they have English up on their window panels celebrating that they finally got this, you know, this magical mixture of time travel juice or whatever they've got.
Yeah.
Light speed.
Yeah, that was a good catch.
So it was fun to be able to go, oh. And the thing that sucks about those is that then you have to go back through and go, oh, where were all those times when I saw English? But it ended up working out. And I really enjoyed it.
I think it worked out well. Let's move into music video sins. Cardi B doing her version of the Pixar movie Up.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Today, let's hear what Barrett has to say first.
Barrett says, I like the direction Cardi went in her video. I didn't call attention to the fact that she was using a white man as her table in the set with the champagne bottles, but I think that an image like that is emblematic of an artist that's a little deeper than a lot of people, especially pearl clutchers, claim about her. The song is fine. The beat and the instrumentation reminds me a bit of Kendrick Lamar's Humble. The sin about butts was interesting. I was trying to find out a new way to approach the butt, since the butt's been in my face for nearly 7 years straight. And like I said, I still like the butt, but I've now started to question my love for the butt. It's a complicated relationship with the butt, is what I'm saying.
Indeed.
I am not desensitized to butts. Just FYI.
Yeah, I mean,
You still got time.
That's why you get your shot there sometimes, is because butts are desensitized a little bit more than the rest of the body. But yeah, I don't got anything to say. What do you guys got to say about this song?
Nothing.
It's catchy.
Yeah.
Moving on.
What about the sins, Jonathan? Why don't you start this time?
Cardi's made it clear that she puts the pussy on offset, not the back of her knee. I thought that was pretty nice. Who the fuck are these assholes? I always enjoy just sins like that, where it's just like, who the fuck is this?
Just observational.
I just love the way Barrett read. What does it mean? What does it mean?
That's the one I had.
And I don't think that goes on your face when she's holding the, what is that, a dildo, I guess she was holding?
Yeah.
It's really weird talking about this video.
I know.
That's why I had you start. I was like, Jonathan, why don't you lead us into this amazing cacophony of amazingness? I
like Cardi, though.
I liked Chumbawamba didn't know what tub thumping meant, and that clearly worked out well for their career. I thought that was hilarious. Okay, that's it. Cardi's officially out of sex rhymes. Time to shut it down, folks. It's really funny. And then I had to mention the snozberries taste like snozberries as they're licking each other's tongues. I thought that was hilarious. Today, what about you?
Snozberries references are always good.
Always welcome. Always welcome here.
I have nothing to add.
Okay, fair enough. We will move into the CinemaSins for the week. 500 Days of Summer. This was an Atkinson Scott script. So let's hear from them first before we talk about our own thoughts on this movie.
Okay.
Jeremy and Chris both have stuff to say about this.
Jeremy will start off by saying, okay, Tom is an asshole and Summer is not perfect, but better than Tom. I think the movie is trying to subvert romantic comedies by having the protagonist be a dick who doesn't really deserve love, and so the girl leaves him, simultaneously subverting the manic pixie dream girl trope. And if so, fine. As an experiment in this, in that nature, success. As a movie that's fun to watch, not so much. It's hard to find anyone to root for in this movie, but honestly, the bigger problem for me is the structure. It hops around all throughout the relationship with seemingly very little rhyme or reason, and we end up just seeing a series of meet-cute moments and a series of arguments all mixed together like a salad made of marshmallows and vinegar. It's disgusting, but well done. I mean, it's the perfect example, right? Like, Just imagine eating a salad of marshmallows and vinegar.
No, stop. Move on.
Oh, sorry. I had to research that Belle and Sebastian lyric she quotes in her yearbook because some things stuck out to me. And of course, it turns out that album wouldn't have been out yet. The movie also gives the finger to the entire concept of time. Anytime it straight up tells you a month or a date, the movie is lying and didn't bother to do any calendar math to check itself. I really liked this movie when I saw it in theaters. I now cannot for the life of me figure out why. My favorite sin is the one Chris wrote about the sad downpour in the notorious rain corridor of Los Angeles. Oh, and I wrote a sin that had to be cut. I even marked it as, quote, "This has to be cut" when I wrote it.
But I'm going to write it so you can see it.
Yeah.
I've done that before with Chris, actually.
It's where they are doing karaoke and he sings a Poison song. And I wrote, also, he's singing Every Rose Has Its Thorn in 2008 to 2009. That's a repellent he probably thinks is an aphrodisiac. There was only a 3-month window when singing Poison songs got girls. It was glorious, but it was only 3 months. I have censored it for the honor of whomever is reading this on the show. Oh, that's what the asterisks were for. Hold on. So there was only a 3-month window when singing Poison songs got girls. Beep.
Got it.
We'll never know what that beep was.
Jeremy's amazing brain.
I have an idea.
Here.
I have a guess. Probably rhymes with sweat. But
I imagine it was much more descriptive than that if I know Jerry. Jerry? If I know Jerry.
I don't know Jerry. Who's Jerry?
You know Jerry.
Do you know Jerry? I
From
don't know
Rick
Jerry.
and Morty?
Yeah, Jerry. Of course.
Chris then adds, we wanted to do 500 Days of Summer way back in 2013, but for whatever reason, after scouting the movie, I didn't consider it sinnable. We moved on. I cannot remember what the philosophy was back then that prevented it from being sinned, but much like Watchmen, which was in that same boat back in the day, we skipped it until later. I think it was because back then it was hard to imagine sinning relationships and the decisions people make while in them, which by and large are choices real people make every day. We had not, quote, opened up the sin rule book just yet. I actually like this movie. One thing I didn't realize when I first saw it was how the movie portrays Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, the idea of hero in your own story, where you're the protagonist no matter what terrible thing you did, had not quite permeated my brain back in 2009 when the movie came out. It's clear that's what the movie is going for. JGL isn't a great guy, or at least he's not as great as he thinks he is. And Zooey Deschanel tells him right off the bat that she doesn't want anything serious. Of course, in JGL's mind, he's thinking that as long as this doesn't come up again and they hang out / date for months, that the, quote, I don't want anything serious, unquote, label melts away, leading to the conflict later when he finds out she's just not that into him. Both Jeremy and I took turns hammering the naming of the movie, which is super inaccurate. My favorite thing that I wrote involves the discussion of The Graduate. Sins like these are fun, out-of-body experiences. You can have writing sin scripts because I don't believe anything I wrote about The Graduate, but I decided to take a stance that was ridiculous for the laughs. The famous scene at the end of the movie shows Dustin Hoffman stealing Catherine Ross from her wedding, and they end up on a bus. Supposed to be a happy ending, but Mike Nichols left the camera on and the actors didn't know what to do, and that translates into the what now moment at the end of the film. But by taking the stance that they're actually happy, it's not my fault Michael Nicholas left the camera on, you can get into some really fun alternate realities. I've never seen this movie.
You've never seen 500 Days of Summer? I don't know why
No.
that surprises me. See, it just seems like a quirky, fun movie that would have been right up your alley. Like, I don't know.
Well, I think I was tired of people saying, you remind me of Zooey Deschanel.
Oh, yeah.
You should watch this show or you should do this, which of course just makes me not want to.
People.
I know. I get that.
People must like kind of qualify you in like kind of that manic pixie dream girl kind of like thing, like because of your quirkiness and that kind of stuff. I bet you probably got that a lot with people like Zoe and different things like that. So yeah, I'm sure that was annoying.
Yep. I don't even remember when this movie came out. I thought
Early 2000s.
When I was looking at it, I liked Joseph and I liked Zoe, and so I thought maybe I don't know why I skipped this one.
Jonathan, what are some of your thoughts on this?
I agree with Jeremy, like almost 100%. I might even like it less than Jeremy. I think this movie thinks it's saying something and it's not, but that's my take on it. It's the Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I'm not really a fan of. His character is just so awful, like just so awful. Yeah. And then he kind of gets rewarded at the end of the movie, which is really irritating for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't. I mean, maybe he just does the same bullshit. But, you know, I think the movie basically is saying that dating in your 20s sucks. It does. And that's really all I feel like it has to say.
Right.
But I feel like it thinks it's saying more than that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't enjoy watching Toxicity for 2 hours, but that's just me.
I must need to watch it again because I remember really enjoying it. I don't remember thinking that character was totally awful. And even in watching the Sins video, some of the things that are being called out as awful are awful, but they fit with the like kind of what the story is doing, what the character is doing, and like it doesn't. They never seem to stand out to me in the movie as like, oh, I can't root for this guy. It was more of like, oh, he has some learning to do, he has some maturing to do, you know, that kind of stuff. And I thought that's what the movie was about. It was about maturing in your understanding of what relationships are, how they work, you know.
I think that's what the movie wants to be about.
Yeah, that's what I took it for. Like, that's how I remember experiencing it.
But it's just, he comes off just, I don't know.
I get it. And maybe if I watch it again, I'd feel the same way. In fact, it's probably likely that I would, because, again, my brain has changed since 2009 as well. So,
and it doesn't help that I'm not really a Levitt fan. Like, I typically don't enjoy him in movies.
Right, and
so
I do.
That probably,
I am.
That factors into it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Zooey Deschanel, I don't dislike her, but I don't think I've ever been in love with her the way a lot of people have. Yes. I was not a New Girl fan.
Just to be clear, I am a huge Zoe fan. I think she's great.
That's absolutely no, I mean, I don't dislike her by any means.
Right.
She's perfectly fine. I've just never really thought much about her as an actor, but she's fine.
Right. I kind of liked this movie, but I haven't seen it since it came out. So it's been 10 years. So certainly lots could have changed since then.
It's been about that time I've seen it. Those are just the memories I have of it.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the sins themselves. Danae, why don't you kick us off with some of your favorites?
Absolutely nothing dates this movie harder than fucking Wii tennis. Loved that.
Nice.
I think it goes without saying, but running through an IKEA to make out in one of their bedroom displays is a sin. Just wanted to point that out. People, if anyone does that, crazy. The sins that were about the computer screen, and this kind of points out to something that both Chris and Jeremy pointed out, so don't have to spend a lot of time on it. But the sin where kind of pointing out the email, so it starts with how the dates essentially don't work.
Right. Yeah.
But the lead-in one is hilarious because it's like first off and second, and the first part is Tom has an email with a subject of lunch that came from a sender called info. And that's just weird. So it kind of kicks off the actual point of the sin, which being the calendars, with a fun in, and I liked that a lot. And then the penis game, there was a couple of them, but the one that was like, look, I understand playing this game. I did it at Best Buy just the other day. But then pointing out if you do this at a park, you're on the sex offender list.
Yeah.
I like that.
Good stuff. Jonathan, what about you?
Not noticing Minka Kelly is a sin. I thought was great. Judgy convenience store managers.
Yep.
I thought was really funny. And then that movie is full of lies. So Tom read that movie correctly. Life just sucks sometimes. I thought was really a good point.
Yeah. You guys mentioned most of mine. I also had, is the narration also going to disparage Jenny Beckman? Anytime you do a callback like that, it's just going to get me. Yeah. I love callbacks. I think they're so much fun. Offices do not have office-wide cake parties when a single employee gets engaged. Time is money, people. This is America. It is truer words have never been spoken. Very nicely done. Let's move on to Phantom of the Opera. This was a Hughes share script. Danae writing on this one.
I was very busy this week.
Yeah. Is that because who knows the mind of Chris as he assigns things, but would you consider yourself like a Phantom fan? I know you've talked about liking the music.
I don't know if he knew that or not. I'm not sure. I didn't ask him, but I am a huge Phantom fan in that it is the first opera musical kind of exposure that I had. One of my friends, when I was in third grade, had the music, and we became best friends. And I was over at her house regularly for sleepovers. Like, she was a really close friend of mine, and we would listen to this album over and over and over and over and over and over and over. I'm sure we annoyed her family. Thinking about it now as an adult, just imagine in the other part of the house, there's two prepubescent girls singing Phantom of the Opera at the top of their lungs, trying to hit the high notes. That is what life was like.
Nice.
It was intense. But yeah, I would read through. It's also one of the first times that I kind of started to get obsessive over material. I read the pamphlet that was with the album, which had all the lyrics to all the songs. But then it also had these little blurbs that gave you an idea of what was happening kind of in the scene, because I was, from the music, trying to figure out what was happening on the stage. So, there's sometimes that you are exposed to a story in a specific way. So someone might have read the book first, or somebody might have watched the movie first, or someone might have seen this on Broadway first. My first exposure was just the music. So
Me too.
anything that was on the stage, I had to figure out where to find that information.
Right.
I actually still have a Phantom of the Opera book that I picked up at a bookstore as I was attempting to learn more. And then, of course, just learning that there's a lot of different iterations of Phantom.
Sure.
My enjoyment of it faded, as you would imagine. It just kind of like went off into like the background. But one of my only goals that I feel like when people are like, oh, what's something that you want to do? It was usually always, I want to go to New York and see Phantom of the Opera. And it just seemed like such an impossibility. But then I actually got to do it. My grandfather, when he passed away, he had put a little bit of money aside for all of his grandkids. So I got $1,500. And I just sat there. I was like, what should I do with this money? I've got bills to pay, but I mean, what would he want me to do? And I realized like he would want me to go do something I've always wanted to do. So I took that money and I went to New York for 4 days, Philadelphia for 4 days, and Washington, D.C. for 4 days. My cousin was living in Philly at the time. And she was used to going around those areas. And we just walked around. We stayed at, simple hotels, and we didn't have enough money for Phantom. And one day, she's like, we're going to try to go get those like last minute tickets. It'll be the nosebleed seats at the back of the theater. But we'll find out like in an hour if we can go. And then we found out we could do it. We literally raced across New York. It was like an epic scene from a movie, jumping onto the subway, running from one stop to the other, racing down Broadway. And we got to the theater, and one of the people who had the extra ticket, because we all had different tickets from different places to make it, she wasn't going to show up on time. And I just was standing outside of the doors of the Phantom of the Opera, crushed because I was going to miss it. And my cousin looked at me and she's like, you've wanted this your whole life. Go. And I was like, okay. And I grabbed my ticket. I bust into the doors, and the lady was like, if we go now, we can get you to your seat before it starts. And I was like, go. And I was so out of breath. We were running up these stairs, and these are like the steepest stairs ever because we're going up. We jump in. Everyone's always already in their seat. She's got the light. I'm getting up, and like I feel like I'm about to hit the ceiling of this theater. I'm up so high in the back. I sit down literally right as the gavel hits for the auction.
Oh, wow.
I literally I'm gripping my seat. I'm sweating. I'm panting. I don't even care who around me thinks I'm insane.
Yeah.
Like, and I start reciting the entire thing to myself because I know every lyric to every song of this thing. And I was sobbing. I was just like, it was so cool. It was one of the coolest things ever.
That's amazing. Had you seen this version of of it before in the movie, the 2004 movie?
No, so this was before the movie.
No, but have you? I guess you were saying,
I'm
did you see
now,
it before
as a
you
Phantom
send it?
fan, have you seen the movie now?
Unfortunately, yes.
So I have another question. So your friend was from Philly. Was she Westbourne, Philly, born and raised?
Yeah.
On the playground, she played most of her days.
She was my cousin. She was a grad student going to grad school there, so she wasn't an actual local Philly girl.
Did she end up in Bel Air?
Yes. Very shortly after this, it was epic.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
They called her a princess. She was the princess of
Why
Bel
can't
Air.
she be a prince, Aaron? Why can't she be a prince?
That was taken. That was already taken by somebody else. So, yeah.
No, I am glad to share that story with you guys. But this movie was, when it came out and I watched it, I was like, Yeah, there's just nothing like listening to the album with Sarah Brightman and Michael. Is it? What's his last name? Anyways, as the Phantom. You just those are my Phantom and Christine.
Right.
But sending this was horrible because I haven't watched it with my sin brain. I haven't processed this information with my sin brain. This concept for a book or a story it's just so fucked up. Like, this is genuinely fucked up. There's this creepy old guy living under the opera house who has been grooming a small child since she arrived as essentially an orphan to become his song bride. It's so messed up.
It is pretty messed up.
Stories can be messed up. That's okay. If they're well told.
Yeah. The movie is also difficult because it reminds me of when I picked up the album, and I won't spend too much more time on this, but when you pick up the album, it's song to song to song to song to song, which is what this movie is. It gives you so little context to the story. One of the most difficult parts for me in writing this with Barrett, I agree that the sins should be in there, but there's there's several sins kind of aimed at the timeline. Like, it was just yesterday that Christine had this happen, and now it's the next day, and she's on stage and things like that. But that there's actually time passage between these moments, but the movie fails to address those, and so it's very cynical.
Right.
So I kind of sometimes had to turn off how much I know about the story.
Sure.
And sin the content itself, which was a very interesting experience. But it was fun to do, and it was unfortunately very easy to sin.
If I have seen this, I have forgotten it. I think I have, but I was so familiar with the album and the music that I think I just didn't care for it enough to even remember it, because I don't remember watching this, but I'm sure I have.
Yeah.
What about you, Jonathan?
I don't know. I thought I had seen it, but then I was watching the video and I was like, maybe I haven't.
Isn't that weird? I had the same feeling.
Yeah. My first introduction to Phantom actually wasn't a Phantom of the Opera. It was Brian De Palma made a movie in the 70s called Phantom of the Paradise. Paul Williams wrote the music. And it's the same type of story. It's just like it's like a glam rock version. And then I also, when I was a kid, Robert Englund played Freddy Krueger. He played Phantom in a movie, I think in '89. And I remember saw that. I saw the Universal too, like the old Universal movie.
Lon Chaney,
yeah. Right? Yeah, that's right.
It's in the 20s.
And then I feel like Herbert Lom played him at some point too, but I could be wrong about that. But anyway, so I've seen various versions of it. I'm not as into the music as you guys are. I don't mean, like, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what the songs are, other than like the main, the Phantom of the Opera. It's just never hit me in the same way. But it seems like a very, very good musical.
Think of me fondly.
No, Aaron.
But I think I've seen it. But I feel like I would remember Gerard Butler. Like, so maybe I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's I remember when it came
Young
out.
Gerard Butler.
It was interesting because people were like talking about it. It was I don't mind that the story is being reintroduced to people, but it just, in this probably direction, there was so much thought and so much money that went into the creation of this movie, including Franklin Lloyd Webber. I'm getting his name wrong. Andrew, thank you. Franklin. He was a part of this, and of course he's very familiar. Once married to Brightman. So, and it's a really interesting, the creation. I kind of got more into the creation of the movie when researching and kind of trying to catch sin moments and such. But yeah, it's just hard. It was hard to enjoy this one because I felt like Emmy's instructions to be Christine was just to be this mindless, emotionless singing puppet. It was just very lackluster in performance, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Gerard as the Phantom was a very confusing thing. Like, it was just very confusing.
That'd be really weird now, right? Like, if he got cast, I mean, he's older now, but I'm just saying, if he got cast as Phantom today, you'd be like, what?
Well, I mean, you've got Russell Crowe and Les Mis. You know
exactly
what I mean?
What I was
like,
thinking
it
of.
still happens.
Oh, that's a really good point.
Yep. And
maybe I'm thinking of Les Mis. I've seen Les Mis. I know I've seen Les Mis. Maybe I'm thinking of that because.
Barrett said, when I put the Sin hat on, I started out pretty hard on Phantom of the Opera, a movie I've really enjoyed in the past. The little things got me. The portrayal of Minnie Driver's character as shrill when she's a typical operatic soprano. The synthesizer score. The instant fucking love story between Christine and Raoul. Oh, and the fact that they were childhood sweethearts when he was probably in his late teens, early 20s, and she was roughly 7. Also, I have to say, I was primed to hate Gerard Butler's voice in this since nothing about him screams Broadway chops. But after he got through Music of the Night, he kind of won me over and did the movie, as did the movie itself. It's still super nonsensical and easy to sin, but I have some affection for its lodged in my heart. You might say, I think of it fondly. And then he says, also, those doll heads in Cardi's videos scared the fuck shit out of me.
And we're back to Cardi B.
Did he really do that?
Yes.
Did he really go back to Cardi B?
Yes,
Yeah, he really did.
He did.
He did that on purpose.
Here's some of my favorite sins.
I hope so.
I liked
Yeah, I do too.
you spelled Harry Styles wrong. I thought that was really funny. More like the pouting of the opera, am I right? That made me laugh. Hey, who does the Phantom's hair? That looks way too good to be self-administered, even with the copious amount of candles. When you realize you brought a monkey to a diamond fight, that one really slayed me. What about you, Jonathan?
I had geezer stare downs. How many peeping opportunities are there in this opera house?
That is kind of the point, though, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the Phantom obviously has created a place where he can look in on Christine or whoever.
Yeah,
Everyone.
that's not creepy.
No, not at all.
I mean, it is basically a horror story, right? Which I
Yes.
guess that's kind of
Yeah.
what Universal did with it. I don't know if it was intended that way, but
Oh, I think so. I think
you
it is
can
intended.
you can easily turn it into that.
Yeah, for sure.
Op blocking, I thought was a great use of that, and can't you let her have a small break to at least process some of this shit? Was fair. Very funny.
Danae, what about you?
Scream singing their way to the roof. I enjoyed the triggering the textbook dungeon floor trap, which, by the way, one of my sins was cut from there. In that moment, he falls through the floor trap into the water, and then from above, there's something that comes down over the top to trap him in the water. But doesn't that mean that he would have fallen onto it if he was falling from above? Like, he would have fallen onto the grid that
Yeah.
trapped him below.
Maybe.
Right, yeah.
So that one was
very strange.
cut. Yes. Also, I wanted to point out the whole Harry Styles thing. What's interesting is the person in that image, I believe, is a Broadway actor who plays the Phantom, and he also plays. There's a scene whenever you see Christine's dad dying. He's the dad there in that scene, and also like on the thing. So, but in real life, he has played now the dad in this movie, Raoul, and the Phantom. I think he's the only person to
neat.
have played all of them, if I remember
That's really
correctly.
cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a little.
So that had to be purposeful casting.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that too. Like even Raoul, the person who plays Raoul, he is a really well-known opera singer. He's really talented. Okay. I wanted to point out the Franks one, which is not in my keeping tabs, but it was something that we looked up. It's incredible. Actually, you know what? I will. I'll just do a couple quick for keeping tabs with the Franks thing.
okay.
I'll come back to that one. But also so many questions about Christine coming down that first time in that epic song about the horse, and is she hallucinating it? Is there a horse? The horse is actually a nod to, I think, the books where he takes her on horse, but also it makes no sense for the movie. Like, okay, we're just giving all these winks and nods to all these versions of Phantom, but also it makes no sense.
Right. You kind of have to integrate it in a way that makes sense if you're going to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is Joel Schumacher too, man. Have
That's
you seen
true.
Batman and
Yeah,
Robin?
nothing has to
Because
make
this
sense.
totally
That's
makes
true.
sense if you've seen Batman and Robin.
Yeah, I was so glad that Barrett wrote a sin about those massive statues in the graveyard scene, because I could not figure out how to like properly sin those. But my God, they were huge. And it totally had that vibe to it. Let's see. And the other one that I really love, this one was Barrett's. It just made me laugh. Is it's cool to have your own gondola and everything, but isn't this like the Parisian sewer? And even if it's just a storm drain, this place has to smell like absolute shit. And then I have several more written down. I'll skip all of those to go to my favorite outtake of the WWE Daniel Bryan yes chant over the crowd.
Yes.
That one, I have several outtakes I really love in this one, but that one
It was a great outtake.
It was a good outtake.
It was a great outtake package. It really was. Good stuff. And I just remembered the naked statues, and I forget what the sin was, but it was basically like, boy, they sure do want the young people to come see the opera in this town, don't they, or something like that. I thought that was really funny.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
We're each going to talk about something from the process of putting together the content for the week. I have already said that I'm going to trigger Jonathan. Jonathan, you can close your ears, but I did do research for diarrhea euphemisms when we were doing the...
No, I want to hear this.
When we were doing the South Park one. Turns out there are a lot of diarrhea euphemisms.
I've probably heard all of them. Go for it.
So I had a meeting with the toilet that ran longer than I expected. Was one of my favorites.
Nice.
I think one that a lot of people use is I got to go pee out of my butt. So
I would never heard that.
That's
Never. Oh my
I heard
God.
That is awful.
excuse me, I have to attend my last meal's funeral. Is one of them. A bubble
That could
gut,
go for
apparently.
both.
Have you ever heard it called bubble gut? No, I got some bubble gut. I don't know. That was
No.
I'm regretting my decision to listen.
Yeah. You're brave.
chocolate rain. Chocolate
God.
rain. And then
Jesus Christ.
possibly my favorite. I could poop through a screen door and not hit any metal.
Oh my gosh. Okay. No.
Come on, that's really funny and clever. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Anyhow, there you go. That was a little bit of research that Aaron did. Trying to think of something funny to say with the diarrhea, but instead I just went with wow. Just wow. What about you, Jonathan?
The only thing I wrote on was Rick and Morty. I did look up because the yellow Pop-Tart, we had that sin about yellow Pop-Tarts can't jump. I was trying to figure out what that Pop-Tart even was.
Yeah, what flavor
And
it would
I
be?
could not find. Yeah, I could not find a yellow Pop-Tart. They do currently, although it's a brand new flavor. They have a lemon groove, but even it's not yellow. It's just got like that flavor in it,
It's a
but
weird
it's basically
color to put
white.
on a Pop-Tart.
Yeah, so I could it's like pea Pop-Tarts, but I couldn't find a single Pop-Tart that is yellow. So if anybody has that, and I don't know where I could have looked to find it. So I ended up just writing a different type of sin than what I was going to write. But I did though. I was looking at the flavors though. I didn't know some of the stuff. Man, Pop-Tarts have changed.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid,
Times
they have
have changed.
When I was a kid, it was just strawberry and chocolate. Those were basically the
blueberry.
two.
I remember when blueberry.
Oh, blueberry, yeah.
I remember when that became a thing. Like that wasn't even like a thing for a while. But like they have a Fruit Loops Pop-Tart, which I actually want to try. Salted caramel pretzel, red velvet cupcake. It's just like at this point you're just having dessert, right?
That's the thing
breakfast.
that snack food companies do now is they just make a ton of flavors and they they wait for them to hit and they make them seasonal sometimes
Were you a frosted or non-frosted?
I was completely non-frosted. I can't.
Me too.
Me
too.
I loved my favorite part of the Pop-Tart are the edges, just the crust. I love whatever that crust is, and so the frosting. Of course, I'm not a frosting person in general because it's too sweet. But yeah, I loved cinnamon no frosting was beautiful. Strawberry no frosting is great too. But
that's my favorite.
But when I went to college, my parents sent me with a bulk order of strawberry no frosting Pop-Tarts. I had a box like this of like 500 Pop-Tarts. Not in individual boxes, like sleeves, like you would like have for like Thin Mints or something, but it was all like strawberry Pop-Tarts, and that lasted my...
Did you toast them?
No, I always ate them plain, and that lasted my entire freshman year.
I did like toasting them, but I was non-frosted.
Yeah,
strawberry was my big one.
Yeah,
so good.
Gotta love the tarts. Today,
I never liked them. I had to smother them in butter before.
That sounds good.
The first time I heard people put butter on Pop-Tarts, really it blew my mind. And it makes total sense to me now, but I was just like, what are you doing to your Pop-Tarts?
Yummy. It's so yummy. You obviously it instantly begins to melt. If there was no icing on it, then it would do what it does around the crust. And that's the best part with the butter because it just melts directly into this. Well, let's just call it what it is. It's cardboard. So.
But you're not saying peanut butter. You're saying just straight up butter, right?
Yeah. Butter, yeah.
Okay.
Real butter.
Butter.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep. My keeping tabs, I have 2 for the Phantom of the Opera. One is based on a sin that was also cut, which I pointed out that it was, to me, very evident in the opera house that there were 2 types of lighting. There was the gas lights that you kind of see that are in the background all around with gas pipes that would light the opera house. But in the seating in this area where all the crowd was, there was electric lights. And the timing would have been off for that. So electricity would have come to Paris after the movie was created, or the time frame that the movie was saying. So there was an exposition in 1881 that showed a public display of how electricity was used, but Paris would and France would actually adopt this like later. So in 1887, there was a destruction of the Opéra Comique by fire, and it gave new proof of the dangers of gas. And the study for electricity as a substitute really began then. So they were behind their sister capitals in Europe and very far behind the larger cities of America in the public use of electric light. And it was not until 1888 that the city government of Paris took up the whole matter earnestly and after consideration adopted the plan which, up to the year 1907, supplied the city with electric current both for illuminating and power purposes. I found all of this on a Academy of Political Science. This was by A.N. Holcomb, and it's an entire report of the electric lighting system of Paris and the history. So it was really interesting just to kind of read about that. They have these bulbs in the theater, and none of it moves. There's no flickering. So I think it was very clearly off. But, you can write a sin that's a sin, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah,
So
sometimes it doesn't
that's
work.
okay.
Yeah.
But interesting to know. Something else that's interesting to know is this whole 20,000 francs. So when we count for inflation, the Phantom was making roughly $4.2 million a year.
Wow.
In his payout. So I did research on multiple places. This was one of the places that I went to. It happens to be a Reddit thread. Just asking, does anyone know how much a Paris opera would actually make? And is this figure accurate? Like, is this possible? There was a paper that was written on ehes.org that goes into details, but essentially the Palace Garnier had 2,200 seats. They calculated for tickets and sold out performances, estimated the performances over the course of the year. About 14% of their remaining profits is 240,000 francs. So they would have had enough to pay the Phantom his 20,000 francs with about 40 left over after paying everyone, according to this kind of like series of thoughts. And essentially what they're saying is that back at this time, the Opera House was the central place for entertainment. It was film, it was music, it was theater. Mm-hmm. Nobility was going, the rich would go, the poor people would go. It made a ton of money, and it was absolutely possible to pay the Phantom 20,000 francs.
Wow. Nicely done. Nice research. That's crazy doing research for stuff. That's just wild. You've just brought such a new level of stuff to the team. Now we research stuff. It's incredible.
Now, the sin in the video is very purposefully overinflated.
Right.
Like to very obviously be an incredibly crazy number.
Right.
So.
Nice. All right. Well, let's move into the comment section.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
So we're just going to take a look at a comment from some of the week's content. Could be from the videos, maybe Discord, maybe Twitter, wherever you want to pull it from. Danae, kick us off.
Susanna on the Phantom of the Opera says, not sure whether I should be impressed or worried that you took the time to count every single candle in this entire movie. You should be worried. And yes, I did do that. Yes, I did do that. I wrote to Barrett, I was like, I have an insane idea, because we obviously sin over candling all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just all over this movie. So of course I thought, well, is this a bonus round? And yeah, I definitely went through and counted them all.
Nicely done.
I also have 2 more, just super quickly.
Yeah, go for it.
One is from Lazarus, who says, I can tell you why the masquerade is held in the lobby. It's a French-style theater. They were made for socializing, so much so that a lot of the patrons only showed up before just to be seen mingling in the lobby and then left before the performance. So the lobby is actually the best place to hold any sort of festivities. It's
Nice.
literally made for that. And I didn't know that. I thought that was a really cool insight into the theater. And my last one was from Steven, who says, word of the day, décolletage, a low neckline on a woman's dress or top. On an unrelated note, I may have a new interest.
Décolletage fetish.
I went with Zach Brown from the South Park video, quotes the video.
Oh, he's a fan of ours? Nice.
Yeah, he quotes the video saying, this light switch is on the wrong side of the door. And then he says, it's been that way in my bedroom forever and it's never bothered me until now. Thanks.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
I think the light switch thing is something I just always notice, because it does happen in homes where light switches are placed in the strangest places. And sometimes it's because doors change. The door is hung differently one time than another. Sometimes it happens because rooms are walled off that weren't before. And all of a sudden there's, an outlet that's in a weird place. That stuff always, makes my mind do weird things. But yeah, you should never have the light switch. You should never have the door open towards the light switch. That makes absolutely no sense. So, yeah.
Because then you have to,
What about you, Jonathan?
Mine was from Rick and Morty, and it was Fuzzy Striped Tail. I just thought this was funny. Even though the yellow Pop-Tarts are famously bad at jumping, they do contain just enough plutonians to work in conjunction with fans to prevent the Zygerians' computers from overheating.
That is one of my favorite running jokes in the comments is somebody who takes all the sins and combines them into one sentence, kind of thing. That is
and
fun.
Giving credence to the yellow Pop-Tarts can't jump.
Right, yes, exactly. Which we all knew before this sins video. They just can't. They just can't. Let's move on to Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wild history.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
We're just going to chat about something else from the world of pop culture that we have seen recently. I can kick us off. I recently got around finally to watching Miss Americana on Netflix. This is the Taylor Swift documentary. And I really enjoyed this. That's why I wanted to talk about it. I think I have a thing for
Taylor Swift.
Yes. Totally.
I mean, she's pretty.
Very creepy. It's a very creepy thing I have. No, I have a thing with really talented musicians and just seeing how they channel that. I really loved the Bieber documentary, the first one that came out. I thought it was really good. There's also a Britney Spears semi-documentary. It's like a series on Hulu from the New York Times that came out recently. I really kind of dig that stuff, kind of seeing how talent informs, how fame can mess with people and inform people. And I was really impressed with the level of self-awareness Taylor Swift continues to have even at her level of fame and wealth. And it's one of those things where, yes, I know that this is kind of a self-produced marketing, more of a documentary than a lot of them are. This is not somebody from the outside, telling a story. This is very much inner circle. And so I know there could be, stuff left out, whatever the case may be. But there's a level of access here where there are several scenes in this movie where you see the moments where she comes up with an idea for a song and where she's in the room with a collaborator and they're listening to a beat and she's like, what if it was this here? And they come up with the lyrics to these, now iconic songs. And it's just, I love that stuff, man. I think that stuff is so cool to see and so interesting. And then you add on top of that, the philosophical stuff she's pondering about what fame means, what it means to her, how she was always taught to value applause and approval over anything else and how that's impacted her. She talks about, the way she's viewed her body and the way others view her body. And so she'll see herself and, she'll have to take breaks from certain social medias or she falls into these brain traps where, she starts starving herself again. She's really open about just a lot of how fame can really mess you up. And at the same time, she is just so contemplative about her own existence and who she is that she really finds her way through it. Again, at least in this documentary, she really finds her way through it in a really healthy way. And I just think it's a great example for any of us. No, I was going to say young women, but for any of us to look at and go, okay, how do I navigate my own version of this? What does my world, look like? Where are my pressures coming from? How do I pressure myself? Those kind of things. And man, she also talks about the moment she decided to be political for the first time, which just happened, I think, a year ago with the Tennessee Senate race, the Marsha Blackburn race in Tennessee, and how she made that decision, the kind of the cost, quote unquote, of making that decision. I was really blown away by how vulnerable and interior this documentary was allowed to be. And again, part of that is it's because it's from her and her camp. So, she has the control to make it what she wants it to be. And I understand that, but it does allow a level of access you wouldn't normally get. And so I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It's called Miss Americana. It's on Netflix. If you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, it's been out since I think summer of 2020. So yeah.
Neat. I have not had a chance to watch it yet.
Yeah, I'd recommend it to both of you. I think both of you would enjoy it quite a bit. So yeah, Danae, you've been to a show, right?
Yeah, I've actually seen her live. A friend of mine has two daughters, and one was able to get tickets to go see Taylor Swift with her friends. And the other daughter really wanted to go. So her parents were like, okay, we want you to be able to do this too. This is a pretty big deal. So we'll buy the ticket for you, but we have to figure out who's going to drive you. And we can't do it. And so they called me and said, hey, can you chaperone our daughter to Taylor Swift? We'll buy your ticket. And I was like, sure. And so we got to go see Taylor. It was
you showed up and you were sweating and you were panting. You were like...
And you got into the concert just as the gavel hit. And yeah.
So such a different experience because I knew of Taylor Swift. Yeah. I had heard her songs, but I was not a Swift fan. But in that concert, I became a Swift fan. It was experiencing that concert that made me genuinely appreciate her as an artist. It was really incredible.
Watching artists in concert is when you really start to appreciate what they're doing.
I've never been someone who likes to go to live concerts.
Me either.
But I've been to a few, like very few live concerts. This was something out of my realm of, I had no idea they could be that much of a spectacle.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah. I will go ahead and mention, because I did watch it back to back with the Framing Britney Spears thing that I was talking about on Hulu as well. And I would just say that is a very interesting back to back watch because of how different Britney's story has been from Taylor's. Even though they come from a very similar, teenage girl hits the spotlight, probably too early, tries to figure out what that means. And there's some stuff in the Britney one that is revelatory, interesting, but it's so much stuff that I think anybody knows kind of about her story, that there's such little new information there, that, I wondered if it was necessary. However, the element of the fact that she's in a conservatory, do you know what, or no, is that what it's called?
Are we getting into Britney too?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay.
No, do you know what a conservator is?
Yes. So I've been following this.
Okay. Yeah. So that part of it I found a little bit enlightening.
Are you talking about like her or their parent?
Yeah,
so
the
it's
fact
her father.
That at one point she was declared to need somebody else to take charge of her life.
I kind of remember that.
And she's still under that. And so the Free Britney movement is the idea that she doesn't want to be under that, but she's trapped. And
she can't.
Hasn't she recently gotten out from that?
Kind of, but not really.
This morning, a judge rules against Britney Spears' father in the latest estate court hearing. It's not necessarily all about the conservatorship. I haven't looked a lot into it. I just saw it pop up on Twitter as we were recording this, so I'm not sure. But it says he lost his bid for the right to delegate the singer's investments and his objection to an earlier order that made another person part of her estate. She has very few rights, but most of the court order stuff is all under lock and key. Like you really can't look at it. So it's very difficult to make a lot of judgments about it. But remember me telling you guys about that lawyer, Emily D. Baker, a little while ago?
Yeah.
She's done a couple videos where she breaks down what a conservatorship is, why this one is a little bit, is so different than others. and what we know and what we don't know. So if it's something that you want to get into, she's got some good videos that kind of break it down.
Why was she even declared like unable to take care of herself?
We don't know. That is part of the what we don't know.
See, that's what I don't. I don't need to know. It's none of my business. But like that just sounds so messed up.
But usually these conservatorships are for a specific type of relationship where someone is mentally unable to take care of themselves.
Usually it's older people when they are senile.
It's usually for olders. Yep. But that it's done for someone who can clearly work and make decisions, and that it's the idea that her father can tell her when she can have children, when she can work, when she can't work, what she can and cannot do. Apparently, one of the things that I was just reading about is that she's not even allowed to have a cell phone. That kind of stuff, the fact that there's somehow this is legally being allowed is just really strange. So there's a lot of people trying to get into it and figure it out. I guess he fired her manager without her knowing, or that's one of the assumptions that's being made. So there's just a lot of really weird things that are coming up, which is why there's a Free Britney movement. There's an entire group of people trying to figure out how to get her out of this.
So if you want to take a look at what the New York Times put together on that is on Hulu, and it's called Framing Britney. But yeah, Miss Americana is awesome. Go see that on Netflix. Jonathan, what do you got?
Yeah, it's really, Aaron and I are always on the same page every week. He's talking about Taylor Swift this week. I'm going to talk about a Chuck Norris movie from the 80s.
Yeah, it's weird how that happens every single week.
No, I've been watching a lot of older stuff. I haven't watched anything new. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I find this fascinating. So this is a movie called Hero in the Terror, and it's from 1988. It stars Chuck Norris, and it was released by Cannon Films. If you're not familiar, do you know what Cannon Films, Aaron?
Nope.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do not.
Okay. Cannon Films is this film company that was it had been around for a minute, but in the late 70s, I think it was bought by these guys, Minim and Globus are their last names. I can't remember their first names. And the story of Cannon Films throughout the 80s is super fascinating. And there's actually a documentary that I highly recommend, even if you've never seen any of the movies. It's called Electric Boogaloo, The Wild and Untold Story of Cannon Films. It came out a few years ago. And so we're in 1988, and Chuck Norris is making this movie called Hero in the Terror that's getting released in the summer of 88. So what's interesting about this to me watching it is because, Chuck Norris had popularity for sure, but like he never really reached he never got movie-wise, he never got to the heights of like Schwarzenegger and Stallone. So like in 88, you've got Schwarzenegger and Stallone are like well on their way. Like they're kind of getting in their prime. Bruce Willis had just come out with Die Hard earlier that year. So he's kind of jumped onto the action scene. Van Damme and Seagal have also jumped onto the scene at this point because they had released their first films earlier in the year, Bloodsport and Above the Law. And then so you've got this this Chuck Norris movie where it feels like so like Chuck Norris is clearly trying to figure out a way to stay relevant. And at the same time, you've got Cannon Films, who the year before this had basically like they went all in. And they had 3 big movies, Over the Top, Masters of the Universe, and Superman 4. And they all flopped, like just massive flops. So
you're not going to sit here and tell me Over the Top was a flop. Come on, man. That was a huge success, financial boon, I'm sure.
It was a flop. But so they're trying to kind of keep their head above water as well and not go bankrupt and all that stuff. So they just released this. So they have this big summer tentpole with Chuck Norris, and it's Hero in the Terror, and it's not like a bad movie or anything. And it's a perfectly watchable movie. It's basically he's a cop that was almost killed by this serial killer who goes by the name who they call the Terror.
Mm-hmm.
And he's played by I forgot to write that down. He's played by the guy who plays Non in Superman 2, one of Zod's henchmen. Hold on one second. Let me look that up real quick.
It says Danny was lucky 3 years ago at the arrest of Terror, a serial killer of young women. Danny's about to be a dad when Terror escapes prison and is back to killing. Will Danny get lucky this time?
Yeah, that's pretty much the movie. Jack O'Halloran plays Terror, and Steve James plays Chuck Norris's partner. He was in a lot of these films around this time that Cannon did. He was in like the American Ninja movies with Michael Dudkoff and stuff like that. But But I don't know. But it's a perfectly watchable movie. It's fine. It's definitely very much an 80s thriller. It's trying to be like too many things though. Like I don't think it ever knows what it is. Like it's kind of a straight up cop thriller, but then it's also kind of a slasher film. Like it's definitely playing off, which a lot of these action movies in the 80s did that just because the slasher film was so popular. And it's also kind of trying to be like a drama. And it's just, I don't know that it completely works. So maybe this is kind of a wreck of Warren, but the movie is so fascinating. I just, all the basically anything with canon in front of it always interests me around this time period. Because it's just the things they were trying to do. I don't even know how to, if you don't know anything about canon films, I don't know how to get into it. It's just so wild and crazy. I highly recommend that documentary, Electric Boogaloo. It's basically a studio that was built on the back of cocaine, I think. So it's pretty crazy. Like they bought up all these random properties. Like they bought up Agatha Christie rights and Superman and all this stuff and He-Man. And tried to make all these movies with them. They tried to do the old studio system thing with stars. So they like signed Chuck Norris to this ridiculous contract. Charles Bronson, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Stallone, and they were just losing money left and right. Yeah. But they still kept making these just crazy like big ass films. And I don't know. And then they eventually crashed, like a lot of these studios did.
Sure. There you go.
But anyways. Hero and the Terror. So that was just out of the things I watched this week. That was the most interesting story behind it, at least. But I don't know. I've never been a huge Chuck Norris fan. But I can't honestly say I've seen a ton of his movies. So, and he's got some interesting political views. So that's another thing about him that's fun.
Well,
but,
I just know him for the jokes. You get your
and
Chuck,
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Get your Chuck Norris.
I have
joke.
watched the first few episodes of that Walker reboot. It's not bad.
Chuck Norris doesn't read books. He stares them down until he gets the information he wants.
My favorite was what is it? It's like when you go to bed, you're looking in your closet for the boogeyman. The boogeyman's looking in his closet for Chuck Norris.
Yes, that is very true. It's very true. Danae, what about you this week?
I'm going to recommend a kid's show because that's pretty much all I watch. But I found one on Netflix called Chico Bon Bon, and my daughter is obsessed.
Chico Bon Bon, Chico Bon Bon.
Chico Bon Bon. It's a British-Irish children's animated web television series. Guys, can you tell that I'm reading Wikipedia? On a series of books. It's based on a series of books by Chris Monroe. So it's Chico Bon Bon, a monkey, and his tool belt. It's a Chico Bon Bon, monkey with a tool belt. So he solves problems around town with his buddies Tawny the Mouse and Clark the Elephant and Rainbow Thunder, a daredevil cat that tries to solve problems, and they use STEM concepts. So, of course, there's an element of education that I really enjoy. So, yeah, each episode, there's something that happens in town that they've got to go solve, and they use science, technology, engineering, and math to do so. And Iris is just super obsessed with it. She calls it Jingle Bong Gong, which is freaking adorable. And there's quite a few episodes to enjoy. And I would recommend it for people who have littles or anyone who just likes watching kids shows. It's pretty cute. And I like the way that they solve problems. They kind of state what the problem solving will be at the beginning. And then they try to solve the issue multiple ways. And then he takes a banana break and figures out exactly what to do. And then you get to see them solve the issue.
Have you guys ever watched Team Umizoomi? Did you ever watch that with any of your kids? Mm-mm. That's the one my daughter watched a lot. They had mighty math powers.
Ooh, yeah.
No,
it was always Backyardigans for my kids. So we're dating the ages of our children here.
Absolutely.
It's so interesting that we're all, similar age range, but our kids are all such different age ranges. That's kind of
I just miss my daughter saying she had mighty math powers.
The worst part about this is that it's not a popular it's not like a popular show like Daniel Tiger. So her birthday's coming up. She's about to turn 4, and I asked her, what do you want for your birthday? She's like, I want Chico Bon Bon toy. There are no Chico Bon Bon toys.
Uh-oh.
It's all like Redbubble where you can go and print your own stuff. So you can take a stolen image from the website and you can make it into a sticker or a very expensive and overpriced blanket or a t-shirt or something that's just clearly that. There's also people who create their own Chico Bon Bon stuffed plush toys by crocheting or knitting that you can get on Etsy. So I can buy a Chico Bon Bon plush knitted toy for about $85 if I want to. So instead, I bought polymer clay, and I'm going to try to make my own. So we'll see how that goes.
Sounds like you just need to take her to Disney World. Sounds what it sounds like to me.
No.
So what you're saying is you're cheap, and you won't buy the $85 stitched with
Guess
love.
you don't love your kids.
No, we're going to get clay, and we're going to try to make a little figurine.
Should be fun.
Iris is very specific. We were looking at a picture, and I was explaining that I was going to buy clay. We were going to try to make a little clay figurine and bake it in the oven to make it hard so she can kind of carry it around. And she's wanting to make the intricate tools on Chico Bon Bon's tool belt. And I had to explain to her I'm not that talented and that this will probably look very simple. But we're going to try because if she wants to draw something, we just sit down, we try to draw it. So I've drawn
That's
Chico
amazing.
Bon Bon.
You're an amazing mom. I just would have dropped $85 and been done with it.
Well, I want her to know how to create too.
I know. No, you're better than me. I got you.
Yeah, I'm 100%. No. I was watching this Twitch channel of this guy. He's incredibly talented. He sculpts these amazing sculpts and then paints them. And, he's just so talented. And I was watching him and I had him up on my laptop because the thing that he was sculpting wasn't like too scary. Some of them are kind of frightening looking, but just mind-blowing stuff. And she's watching him and she's like, I want to do that. So we got Play-Doh out. And so she's playing with Play-Doh while he's crafting these incredible things. Play-Doh is awful to sculpt with though. It's so soft. So I just sent up a chat like my 4-year-old or my nearly 4-year-old and I are watching you sculpt and we're playing with Play-Doh. And so he was just talking about, if she's really into creating things with her hands, Play-Doh is great, but get her into polymer clay, so she can
that's cool.
So she can get used to the harder materials and crafting them. And then you bake them in the oven and they turn into, a solid, material, which is what he does too. But there's these new clays that are being invented essentially, which allow a lot more flexibility for longer. And so it was just really interesting getting into this whole like clay idea. So yeah, we're going to create some little characters together and go through the highs and lows of creating something and then dropping it and it falls apart and gluing and all that stuff. We'll have to experience that together, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. So thank you, Chico Bon Bon, because it's inadvertently created problem solving. I mean, this is a show about problem solving for kids, and her problem is there's no toy. So we're actually going to go through the whole solution of creating our own. It should be interesting.
Speaking of product, my mom bought one of our shirts, and I told Aaron about this when we were doing Sif Pop. My mom always calls our podcast behind the scenes, and so like I was talking to her, she's like, "Hey, I bought one of your shirts." I didn't know which shirt she meant, so I was like, "Which shirt did you get?" She's like, "The behind the scenes one." I'm like, "Did you read the shirt? Because it's not what it says." But love her. God bless her.
Today, every child at some point needs their introduction to black market unlicensed characters. Like it's something everybody has to do at some point. That's going to wrap it up for Behind the Scenes this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed. You can go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything you want to send us, you can mail it to us. P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri, 65738. You can also hang out with us on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer. She is at Danae Says.
DENEESAYS.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, an uncontaminated screen door, and myself, we will see you next week.
Oh my God. Aaron Dicer. Aaron Dicer.
Happy Battery Day!
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
Now, why am I the only one here? Why, oh, why am I the only one here on a Friday morning? Did I go to the wrong place? Did he go to the wrong place? And why is no one with him?
Holy cheese and crackers, Batman!
Da 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 da. Da 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 da. The curtain calls. His rain will end.
Well, it's quite possible it's the COVID talking. I don't know. I've got...
Oh, how are you feeling?
For the first time, symptomatic. Yeah, I'm a little bit, a little bit something. But
oh, no.
How's your wife?
She's fine. She's through.
So is she not with you anymore?
Whoa!
Hey, no, we're great.
That's awkward.
In the same part of the house.
I know you guys won't judge me, so I'm going to confess to something. Everyone's like, oh, don't drive because it's icy and it's stormy and it's wintry. I've only left the house in the last 4 days to go to the drive-thru. Like, I've braved the storms. I've braved the streets for Sonic.
You've got top priorities, and those tots are going to get you in trouble. So, Danae, the question becomes, what is the thing that would keep you at home and keep you away from your beloved tots? Like, what is, like lava? Like lava in the streets? Some sort of Mount St. Helens?
Laziness is the only thing that keeps me from my tots. Laziness is the only thing that keeps me from my tots.
All right, fair enough. Acid rain. Frogs falling from the sky. Full magnolia. Still
See,
going
what's funny
for her
about that
tots.
is I think, wow, if this is the end of the world, I think I want one more tot.
Wow. Sonic, I think you found your next commercial.
Jeremy's
spoken.
Martin Lampdow. I was dying.
Yeah.
When he had pulled the string.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
What?
Picture a doodle. I don't think you would get it unless you've seen Ed Wood, which you should watch Ed Wood first off.
Yes, Danae, here's a movie you should watch.
What? I'm not paying attention. What?
But he drew a picture of a lamp, and there's an actor named Martin Landau, and he called it Martin Lampdow. It was just funny. It's
good times. It's really good times.
Oh my God. Fun with Jeremy.
That was almost the name of the YouTube channel. Fun with Jeremy. I'm just going to let it run its course.
Huh?
Just going to let
Did you say I'm getting divorced? What?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So just wanted to announce that here first.
That'd be fucked up. All right, let's get ready to go. I'm getting divorced, by the way. 1, 2, 3. Welcome to
like last week when you're like, Vision's dead. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you want to move to town? There are some houses for sale.
Are you still on Zillow?
No. Yes.
Did you see the Saturday Night Live Zillow commercial?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't watch Saturday Night Live.
Okay. For your viewing leisure.
What is that?
That is the SNL Zillow parody.
Cool.
Knowing Danae, she's already clicked on it and is already watching.
Yep. You didn't say this is for later.